Welcome to Hometown Friends. Today, we will be talking to Jenny Fellows and Jesse Parker, two hometown friends who met in middle school and who have now shared their lives for over 40 years. Jesse drove several hundred miles to join Jen for this interview, and so I got a chance to talk with them while they were together in the same room. I've known these women for over 40 years myself, and to witness their current relationship and the affection that they have for each other is truly beautiful. You will hear stories of their family connections, time together in the mountains, chasing boys on the ski slope, traveling together with young children in foreign countries, and continually making efforts to stay in each other's lives and enjoy the mutual admiration that they have for each other. They are both highly educated, creative, friendly, and motivated people who have lived a life full of joy and purpose. It's so evident how much they appreciate the long-term connections that they share, not only with each other, but with several other women from their hometown. These are the types of friendships that are the inspiration for this podcast, and I hope you enjoy witnessing it as much as I did. I'm so excited that you guys are here talking to me. I've been so looking forward to this. Could you guys talk about yourselves a little bit? Maybe tell the listeners who you are and sort of what you do these days and what you're, introduce us a little bit to yourselves.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Jess said I should go first. Hi, Chan. Thank you.
Hi.
Thanks for asking us.
So good to
I'm
see
Jenny
you.
Farnsworth Fellows. I was Jenny Farnsworth when I met Jess in 7th grade at Willard Junior High. For all of our North Berkeley listeners, the better junior high.
Okay.
Shout out Willard.
Shout out Willard.
And we became fast friends and have stayed close all the way till now. So that's what you're about 12 when you start 7th grade, and now we're all 55. So it's a
good long time.
It's a good long time. And through that, we have shared junior high, high school. We went to separate colleges, but Jess came and did a semester abroad. She was at Pomona and I was at Amherst. And then we traveled together, and then we had roles in each other's weddings, although I couldn't go to hers because I had just had Monique, and my cousin Shenua got married the exact same day. So I actually dragged 4-week-old Monique to Hawaii for that wedding. But the point is I couldn't go to the amazing wedding in Montana, but we had a follow-up wedding in the wine country. And then we went to Nepal. I guess we went to Nepal before back up. We went to Nepal before that and climbed a 21,000 foot peak together with.
Wow.
Yeah, with Chris.
21,000. That's nuts.
And I shouldn't say it all, but we've shared so much, fast forward to now, we've just shared so much time in the mountains, adventuring and traveling and skiing and climbing, and, had this incredible friendship throughout all of it. Jess lives in Berkeley. I live in Truckee and also Reno. We have 2 houses that we've been using, both of them, since our youngest decided to go to high school down here in Reno. And that's kind of me. Yeah.
Well, Jenny, tell me a little bit about your profession and your, sort of your work life and your, what you do on a daily basis, because I'm very interested.
Okay. I'll say that and then I'll flip it. You want me to go on that and then flip it to Jess?
Yeah, we're definitely going to come back to Jess, but I'm interested in sort of who you guys are these days, right? Your friendship is certainly something I want to continue to talk about, and I have a bunch of questions about that, and that was a great introduction. But I'm sort of curious about who you are and who you've become, right?
Yeah. When I graduated college, I moved to Tahoe for the proverbial ski year, and here I am 34 years later, 33 years later. Yeah. And I started a ski school and a climbing school with my husband called NASTIC, North American Ski Training and Climbing. And we've been running that since 94. Wow. Before that, I taught high school for 6 years and coached skiing. And I briefly worked at Squaw Valley Ski School, which is where I met my husband. So anyway, then we started NASTIC, and that's what we've been doing. And we run advanced ski clinics all over the country and world. Again, Jess and Peter have joined us on a number of those, both before they were married and during. And we even, lived abroad, sharing our work, home, kid, life, just beautiful mixing of all that. I think I mentioned that in our first talk, Chan, when the kids were super little, like the twins were coming on 2 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Coming on 3.
They were 3.
Yeah.
Heath was 2.
Heath was coming. Yeah. We lived in Europe together.
Oh my God.
So that's what I do. I run a very small business.
Got it. That's wonderful. Jess, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you doing these days?
Thanks for doing this, Chandler. This is fun. I always love any reason to see Jenny. So like, we create reasons to see each other. So this is a great reason to see Jenny. So
I love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have returned to the Bay Area. I live in Berkeley on the north side. And currently I do what I call is page 10 of Cosmo magazine, where they tell you how to de-stress. I teach yoga in Willard Park.
Yes.
And I also own a stand-up paddleboard company in Richmond where I teach stand-up paddleboarding and guided paddles. And I also am a studio potter. So I work in clay. I have a pottery at home. I used to teach at a local community potter studio. Sort of stopped that with COVID, but that's sort of in a nutshell who I am and what I'm doing. But I do live in the hometown.
I love it.
And it's lovely to run into all sorts of people, walks of lives from high school, earlier, later. It's great.
I have several of your pieces, your pottery pieces. They're really beautiful, Jessie. They're seriously, you're a real wonderful artist. I didn't know you even took an art class, but now I see that you are so talented. Where did you learn that about yourself, and how did you come to that?
I was always crafty. In fact, I'm going to throw in a story about Jenny and I when we were young.
I still have a scar. I know what she's going to say.
So I
never thought of that.
I am crafty. Like, I can't help myself. Like, I have to do it. But Jenny was spending the night. I think our friend Anise was over too and had a bunk bed at that point. And you know how they have the railing so that you don't fall off the bunk bed? Yeah. Well, we were all sitting on the top of the bunk and we were making those embroidery thread knotted friendship bracelets.
Right.
And the way we secured them is we took a stapler and we would staple these the thread to the bunk bed rail so that it would stay anchored. And Jenny goes ahead and like staples the thread, she thinks, but it also goes into her thumb, and she's holding her thumb. I don't know if it's in my thumb. She can look. And I'm like, okay, let me look.
Feeling?
She will look. Anyways, I looked. It was there. We pulled it out. She still has a scar.
I still have a scar.
Oh my God.
But I was that kid who always had to sew or knit or, draw or, I'm more on the craft side of the art side. I'm not so arty.
It's interesting. I didn't know that much.
You are an amazing artist.
Yeah, you really are. And I didn't know that about you. Of course, I wasn't in those sleepovers.
Yeah, you were there. I will say when I went to college at Pomona, I wasn't lost, but I didn't know what I wanted to major in. I really gravitated towards a couple of the art classes I took as electives. Like I took a painting class and I did take a ceramics class. But I declared my major as a psych major because I chose that because my roommate was dedicated psych major, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. Plus, I liked writing the studies like that. I like the really explicit way to prove. I guess you have the subject and the data and I don't know. I forget all.
So you like the sort of scientific method.
Yes, I enjoyed the scientific method, and but I did enjoy the art, and so I went to talk to my advisor, and I said, I like art, and so he said, well, you could be an art therapist, and I kind of looked at him, I was like, no, you're not hearing me, you don't understand what I'm saying. So, anyways, I really found clay after Pomona.
Okay.
It just kind of got under my skin. I really wanted to do it, and I was living in LA at the time, working actually at the LA County Museum of Art.
Oh, wow.
But just wanted to take more ceramics classes. So I found the community college, El Camino College in Torrance, California, had an amazing art department. And to anybody who's looking for good education locally, choose a community college. They are awesome. They're so amazing. So I went back to school for art and I took some painting classes and stuff like that. But that sort of was my trajectory because I got hired on immediately as the studio tech at that play studio at El Camino. And I was there for 3 years, working in firing kilns and making clay and glazes at the same time that I was actually trying to learn how to make pottery. Like I was terrible. But I was firing everybody else's work. So I was handling nice work.
Got it.
And from there, I decided to go back to school. I went back to school at a place called Alfred University, which is not upstate New York. It's like Western New York. They have one of the top ceramics programs in the world, or in the country, I should say. So I spent 2 years there. And then from there, went to Montana. There's a residency program there at the Archie Bray Foundation, which used to be a brick factory. So they had a ton of kilns and a ton of clay. And it developed, it's now going on 65 years or something like that. But they've had an artist residency program there. So I was a resident artist there for 2 years. Met my husband, who's in the wine business in California. So he couldn't move to Montana. I had to move down to California. And that's kind of why I ended back in the Bay Area.
Really?
And I've just sort of, pursued and pieced together my ceramic career from there.
That's amazing. I did not know all of that. So you're truly, not only, this is not just a hobby, you're really educated in many ways. I mean, specifically in the art. That's actually something that, I wanted to bring up with you guys. I admired you so much, both of you so much, for your intelligence throughout our young lives together. Just both of you truly. And actually, it's a great combination that you both have, which is, first of all, you're both beautiful. Second of all, and always have been, in spirit and in outward appearance. But moreover, I've always admired your intelligence, both of you, and your sociability. Like, you have not only just like academic intelligence and, but just your drive and your desire for more education. And you're both, from my perspective, you were both really top students, and you were going places. And I always thought, like, those girls are going places, and I always wanted to be around you just to sort of soak it in, whatever you had to give. But so it doesn't surprise me that those are the sort of educational experiences, Jess, that you have, but also you, Jenny, just always, being extremely educated and extremely motivated to learn.
And that's what we were all doing, hanging around each other, was motivating each other.
Yeah, say more about that, because I think that is one of the things about Hometown Friends that has always struck me, and certainly for my own self, is hanging around with people that kind of match your sense of where we all want to go, and then actually even motivating us to go farther. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me,
what's interesting for Jenny and I mean, just thinking about like your high school experience, and I think we ended up with a group of friends who have very similar upbringings. I don't think any of our parents, in a group of 9 women, none of our parents are divorced,
which is amazing, unusual.
We all, there was never a discussion of will you go to college? It was just sort of assumed we were on that trajectory. I think Jenny and I, can't think of the other, uniquely, we're both the eldest in our families. So paving that way, or, being the sibling that sets the example, maybe, as opposed to the sibling who follows what older siblings have done. So not that felt like a responsibility. And I don't think even academically, I don't feel like there was a lot of competition between any of us or all of us.
Yeah.
No.
We were all sort of motivated. Within the group, I have another friend, Allison, who, like, we studied together. We know exactly what we ate when we studied.
Right.
It was an overly toasted bagel with like sauteed onions and cream cheese. And it was hella good. With some Constant Comet tea. Oh
yeah. I have some of that.
Nice.
You got yours.
I'm already wired on my espresso that Chris made.
I'm having apple cider.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good for
speaking
you.
of that, we all drank coffee early on. I'm sure you did too, Chan. Like,
Yeah, Pete's Coffee was it,
I
man.
actually forgot that. That's right.
Yeah, lots of good caffeine early on in Berkeley, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that good
Berkeley is like
cafe
the
life.
place of caffeine, or place of Pete's Coffee. So it was 25 cents with your own cup. Do you remember that?
Oh my God.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Good.
And
That stuff was
Jack
rocket
just
fuel.
walking. Yeah, just walking in there.
Just
There's so
walking
much
by.
in the like oil in
Totally.
the air you'd get.
And then because we were all
Caffeinated.
teenagers, you get a mocha, so it had the caffeine and the chocolate. You
Lot
were
of sugar.
wired.
Yeah.
Wired.
Absolutely. High school being wired and other substances involved, I'm sure. Jenny talked about you meeting, or she meeting you. Jess, do you remember when you met Jenny?
I remember what she was wearing. No.
Really? What was she wearing?
Oh, yeah, dolphin shorts.
Dolphin shorts. Hell yes. That's hilarious.
Blue ones.
They
I
were
think.
blue. They were blue.
And like she had this velour
Yes, it was
Izod yellow. Yeah, I
It
totally
was.
remember that outfit.
It was-
I don't know if she was wearing that when I met her, but
That was
like
exactly what I was wearing.
yeah, it is.
They were
Pretty much
blue.
every day.
They were blue and white striped. I know. I think like I wore holes.
They were so cool.
It was a
So
yellow
cool.
collared Izod, like terry cloth.
Terry cloth.
Ooh.
shirt.
Nice.
Yeah. It was good.
Amazing.
But I know exactly where it was too. It was like sort of like where the baseball field is
Uh-huh.
on Willard. So like west of Willard Park. Yeah, and I felt so I was coming into because I kind of I grew up on kind of North Berkeley, but we were zoned to go to South Berkeley schools.
Right.
So it was weird because I was meeting all these people like Jenny and a bunch of other women who already knew each other. Like they'd gone, you guys went to Malcolm X and Emerson.
Right.
Like they talk about these days where like, okay, I went to Oxford and Hillside. Like nobody, I mean, there were a couple people who went there, but and then there were like the kids.
For a year.
Yeah, BPC for 2 years. But then there were, I was sort of on the side of town where you maybe would have gone to King Junior High, but I was zoned to go to Willard. So that was, that was an interesting, not busing experience. It's just like you went across campus.
Yeah.
To the other side.
And that's why I didn't know you, but I knew Jen, right?
Yeah.
Because we all went to Malcolm X and we played at Emerson after school. We would go from middle school to this blacktop and just play all day long.
So I have FOMO.
Yes, we do.
I didn't go to those places.
But you probably had your own set of friends in prior
I
to
knew
that.
Amy Hawthorne pretty well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, these friends, they go back so far, and it almost doesn't matter when they start. It really matters of the quality of friendship that you've sort of put into it. So tell us, how has your friendship morphed over time, do you think?
I think Jenny and I are closer now than we ever were. I don't think Jenny would have been one of my best friends, but I don't think she was like the best friend. You're not my best friend now.
You're right.
Let me just say, Jess says she has 20 to 25 friends. So Jess has a lot of friends. Let me just say, she's at the top. Everybody I've interviewed or like questionnaire, man, you guys do. You guys do have a lot of friends, actually.
Jenny is fluid. She knows so many people, so many different groups and gangs and cliques and whatever.
Yep.
So
I'm like a mayor of friendship.
That's awesome.
she is the mayor of friendship.
This is why you're on the podcast, because you guys know about friendships and have had them and sustained them and changed them and appreciated them and lived with them and really have celebrated them. This is exactly what I'm curious about, is that the quality of these friendships. So what do you think? You were saying, though, how has it changed over time?
I think, the observation of like sort of who Jenny and I are, we both we followed our own paths, not sort of this like structured path. And that gives us both room and space and a little flexibility in our lives to create moments together We always loved, of the bigger friend group, we skied together with my family, with her family, on the high school ski bus. We skied with a Walkman with 2 jacks. So like we had to ski together and have the we had one and one. It didn't have 2 jacks. And we would ski together and listen to music off of the little yellow Walkman.
Are you getting that visual, Chan?
So I love it. Like, how do you stay close enough together to have one earphone?
Although I will, like, my husband would say, yeah, but you guys were skiing at Flat Star.
Right.
So, maybe it was a little easier to do that.
And we were going slow enough to make sure we could meet boys on the way down the hill.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a story I really want to talk about. So let's talk about the ski theme, you guys, because you both, I've skied with you both, and I'll tell a small story.
Remind Jess that you were the president.
I was just about to say, I was the president of the ski club at Berkeley High School, and I literally did not know how to ski. But the reason I was the president is because, and I was with Cindy Adams. She was my co-president. She knew how to ski, but I didn't know how to ski.
She's my 7th cousin.
Is she really? Oh my God. I did not know that.
Well, we don't know what number, but we have this remote, distant relative. But anyway,
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I was the president is because if I did all the work, right, book the hotel and book the bus and, send out all the waivers, then I got a free ski pass or, ticket for that weekend. And then I also got a free room. So I was all motivated to do that. So, but I learned on the ski slope on those buses, like falling so much, and I would just get back up and just roll down the hill. And finally I was like able to do it a little bit. And actually I'm a pretty good skier these days, but it took me those many days. So I'd love to ski with you guys. And in fact, you're probably some of my most favorite ski partners. So it doesn't surprise me that you guys are there, but tell me a little bit about your ski adventures. And Jen, you had a great story about chasing boys on the ski slope. Tell that story again.
Yeah, Jess and I were always chasing boys, and so we went to North Star. Her parents had rented a place.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the place had a hot tub, a group public hot tub you could use.
Oh yeah.
And
how old were you guys at this time? What age are you talking right now?
Yeah, this is sophomore, junior year of high school, probably before we were driving a lot, freshman, sophomore year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we met these guys. Did we meet them first on the ski hill or first in the hot tub?
I think we followed them around the ski hill first.
We probably should only use their first names because they might be listening.
I don't know their first names.
I hope they are.
Oh, that's not Patrick and Kenny?
Oh, it is.
Oh.
Nice.
I thought I was remembering another.
Jenny's an elephant. She remembers everything. I have just wiped my memory.
Oh my God, thank you for that. I feel like I remember nothing. So thank you.
I used to remember a lot. Now I've given that skill to you.
Maybe, Dr. Hoffman, that's a characteristic of hometown friends because I truly have a bad memory. Ask my husband, Chris. But I do remember details. A niece is like that too, one of our other dear friends. And I would just say on that note, I actually think hometown friends, it's almost like Sudoku, like we keep each other's memories going by talking about these stories. A niece will say something or Jess will say something and I can feel my brain activate and like reshuffle the deck that is that memory from way back in the recesses. And then I'll get these weird details on it. You know what I mean? Totally. I'm just thinking of this now.
Yeah. No, I think that's so true that it's actually like a collective memory.
Yeah, like it's storytelling. It's the most ancient of human arts, isn't it?
Definitely. That's such a great point. And that's one of the things that is beautiful about getting together with a larger group and then sharing these stories is that the riffs keep coming, and then the laughter and the stories and the details, and then somebody will add another detail and you'll say, oh yeah, I forgot about that, is what you're sort of talking about, right?
Yes, we do it on the text chain that we have as a group.
Right. That a text chain.
What's that?
No, that a text chain can do the same thing as being in the same room.
It's a good use of modern technology. Actually, I've long thought that if there were a way to produce a little, little book, only our little group of friends would care about it, but it's a pretty meaningful text. And there's a lot of important moments, happinesses, traumas, reflections, advice giving, medical insight. I mean,
world events,
photos. Like,
yeah,
I wonder if
photos.
Shutterfly can. I wonder if there's an app that can make a book of your text shit.
Oh my God, I love that.
Like a yearly diary or something.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
at that.
Well, we kind of got off target, but I want to stick a pin in that because that's a good one.
So this involves you, Blake Williams. Get ready. So we met with these guys, and I honestly can't remember if we skied with them or just talked to them in the hot tub. We were young and silly and embarrassed and flirty. And the next day, after skiing a day together, just Jess and me, Blake had come up and he met us on the slope, and it was a 2-person chairlift. That's all they had back then. And Blake and Jess took a lap. I didn't know what they talked about. And then they come down and Blake hops on with me. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm so lucky I get to ride with cute Blake. And he pulls this trick. He turns right away. He goes,
So Blake.
So, Jenny, Jess said y'all kissed those boys last night. And I said, she told you? Oh my God, she told you? And he goes, I knew it. I had a whole chairlift ride, like 23 minutes back in the day of a fixed grip double, to sit there steaming. And I got off and I go, Jess, you are not going to believe. I just totally put my foot in my mouth. Blake got it. Yeah.
He's skilled that way.
We went to the U2 concert later.
Yes,
and
we did.
Literally ran into those folks. Those literally.
Or was it the cow
It was the
house,
cow.
wasn't it?
I actually, in thinking about this, I did look it up. I can't remember what year that was. Spring of '85. U2 played the Cow Palace.
Wow.
So that would put us as juniors.
85.
Yeah. So maybe that little trip must have been winter of '85.
Amazing concert. I didn't actually go,
concert.
but I can only imagine that was sick.
But I think, and now I reflect on this, the mountains are such a good place for bonding and deep experiences. And we had that in spades, starting with the high school trips and our parents, like Jess mentioned, and then all through 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s together.
Well, and I would say too, it's, for the last, how long have you been married?
Coming up on, it'll be 30 years next year.
30 years. So for 30 years, Jenny's lovely husband, Chris, and I've known my husband for 25 years or something like that. We've all skied together. And so Peter and Chris have a nice independent friendship.
They're
and
good
they
friends.
have done some amazing ski trips without us.
Far away,
Yeah,
like
very
Chile.
Chile and Austria.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that
Makes sense.
has also made it very easy, to spend time together.
Right, because
our husbands like each other.
Yeah, that's perfect, right? And not only do you like each other, you like to do something at a pretty high level skiing wise. I mean, you all are amazing skiers, so it's not like you're different levels necessarily. You all can kind of do anything.
Oh,
right?
I'm a
You can
different
ski.
level.
No, she's not.
No,
I just
I've
try to
seen-
keep up. But
I
I
have
think the
seen
beauty,
Jess
the beauty of the mountains and what Jenny's saying too is I skied before I met my husband, but he comes from a real ski family, and it's something that generationally we're all able to do. Like, so when kids were learning to ski, we were skiing with grandparents. And so like you all have your own adventure on the way down, and then you hang out on the chairlift, hopefully not with Blake Williams, who's going to get all sorts of information out of you.
Exactly.
But, you get to be social on a chairlift, but you don't have to be all at the same level necessarily to get down.
Right.
It's a great equalizer.
Yeah, it is. So
I agree. That's how I've been able to ski with you guys because, I'm falling down behind you. And you guys look around, and I got up hella quick and brushed off I didn't fall. What are you talking about?
Dusting yourself off. What's this?
Well, do you think that the outdoors, the sort of mountain man kind of do you think chasing boys on the ski slope actually?
Did Jenny already tell you that story?
No, go. No.
The yearbook
So
editor,
I was the
by
yearbook
way,
editor
with Julia.
Julia. But the upperclassmen would also take these sort of joke false photos, and so
Right.
Jenny and I, we had a requirement, like anybody who we were so boy crazy, anybody who we did ultimately end up with had to be able to build a fire.
Nice.
And so we called ourselves the Fire Buildettes.
Because that's cool.
And we took one of those joke photos with lumberjack, like plaid shirts, lumberjack shirts, and the two of us kind of just like this.
Oh, nice.
And that ended up in the high school yearbook. So Fire Buildettes, outdoors, very important.
Yeah, so it did influence your choice of partners probably in some way. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's great. One of the things that I said I would really admired you guys, but one of the reasons why I wanted to have you both on this together is that when you took my questionnaire, there was a question on who from your hometown, what are the hometown friends you admire? And you each listed each other. And so I'm curious. What do you admire about each other?
Oh my!
I'll go first.
Okay.
A couple of things we already said. Jenny is the elephant right now, and just her memory is amazing. She somehow has this old-fashioned ability to still send cards for appropriate occasions, like birthdays and stuff like that. Where most of us just get away with shooting a text off with some emojis.
Yeah.
But there's something about that quality of Jenny's commitment and caring and kindness and ability to be outside of herself, for other people, which is really and I think we both also understand each other. We're forgiving of each other. We know that what our capabilities and our max is, and kind of what. Sometimes there's moments where we can't be there for each other, and that's okay. Like just knowing that person's there, but for you, but they can't be there at that moment. So that's one thing I really, really know and trust about Jenny. Yeah.
That she's ever present in your life.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you don't actually have to keep up or be in communication, but you know that she's there.
She's there, yeah. She also, we both run our own businesses. This is like silly little aside, but we both use MailChimp and send out MailChimp blasts every once in a while. And Jenny always replies, just sends me a little note, like, great MailChimp. So exciting you guys are getting out on the water.
That's awesome.
I'm like, woo, skiing in Austria looks fun. But no,
right.
There's this moment where she is always aware of the bigger outside picture.
She's paying attention. Even if it's a MailChimp mass email, she's actually responding to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is an amazing quality. I think it is an amazing quality of attention. And I think it is one of the things about friendship that is so I'm in awe of is how we pay attention to each other and how it feels to be paid attention to.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Do you want to say any more about what you admire, or Jen, do you want to jump in here?
I might circle back. I want to hear what Jenny admires about me.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Jess is authentic and loving and always game, and I can rely on Jess like nobody else, and I just know Jess is a really, really intelligent person, like not only emotional IQ, but she's just freaking smart.
Yeah.
And so I just know that she gets it every time. And like she said, we don't have to be in daily touch to be in really close touch. And we always pick up right where we left off. And I mean, we never go more than, a week or two without checking in. But
beautiful.
I can count on her to be loving and honest in her response. Jess is uniquely direct without being unkind. And I mean, she can really I can really ask her advice and count on it to be what I need to hear, but she'll somehow deliver it with love. Yeah. And I think that goes back to that, that defining feature of Hometown Friend, where the lack of judgment that may be based in really understanding you and where you come from.
That's so unique. It's such an amazing feeling to have someone that you fully trust, that they could say anything to you that you actually trust that that's worthwhile and that's good for you. Like they could actually almost criticize you in a lot of ways or give you hard feedback or difficult feedback. And yet that feeling of trust is so high that you give yourself pause to take it in. Which I don't know if we do that. I mean, I think it's less likely to do that when you don't have all of that time and of course being paid attention to and all the love for so long.
It's sort of that unconditional love that is so unique and rare.
And then we just have so much fun together.
Let's talk about fun, because I want to hear about fun and laughter. When you think about having fun together, what memory comes to mind?
I don't know. I know we've had a lot of moments where we've almost peed in our pants, or I probably have peed in my pants, but I don't remember what those moments are.
Right. Well, they do sort of blend all together. That's one of the things about, I think it's not only, it's a little challenging to come up with these stories, actually, I've realized when I'm talking to people, because, but I actually think there's real value in the idea of the storytelling, if you will, like of creating and remembering all the details, even if it's an amalgamation or that you're, when we cultivate them, when we actually tell the story from beginning to end, or we have a memory and we dive into that memory, we get all these feelings that come from that memory. And especially if they're uplifting or, like they get better and more alive as we tell the stories and we become more detailed about them.
This is funny that this little that I just popped into my head. Remember when we dropped the jar of pickles out your mom's office window?
No, you do.
Jess's beloved, wonderful, amazing, both her parents, Mike and Ann Parker, her mom, Dr. Ann Parker, pediatrician, office was near Altabase, so not far from Willard. So we would walk there after school in 7th and 8th grade. And it was, just lovely pediatrician's office environment. And we were hanging out in her mom's office, her desk part of it. And we had this jar of pickles, glass. Pretty sure we dropped it out of a second-story window. And we were so goofy. We still thought, I think what we were was relieved that it didn't hurt somebody.
I have little moments. Like I remember Jenny sitting on her couch. I think Peter and I went to visit after her firstborn was born. Little tiny Coulter. Like just little moments like that.
Yeah, that constant sense of having fun. You're going to have fun. You're not going to be reticent to go hang out with each other because you're going to laugh and have fun.
I mean, it is like family. We have so many stories. We could tell you countless ones. We'd have to put some thought into which would be the most poignant ones. Entertaining. I mean, Jessie was so strong in Austria. About halfway through, she tore her ACL, and here we were living abroad with twins who were 3, and then I had age 2, 5, and 8 in a duplex for a couple of months, like 2.5, 3 months. And the idea was to put the kids in daycare, ski school, and for the adults to ski. And then we had gymnastic camps going on. But poor Jess did that about halfway through. She never complained. She never felt sorry for herself. She thought for a minute, okay, should I fly home for surgery? Oh no, I can get it here. I'll do it here. Then awesome. I'll do my PT and then I'll continue on this trip. And I have thought of that many times. It was kind of an example of her resiliency and her just, let's make the best of this. Let's see this as a net positive, glass half full. That's a big injury. It's an amazing story.
My side of that story is I was really impressed that Jenny had 3 kids and could ski, and like my kids who were almost 3 weren't potty trained. And I mean, they still were wearing diapers, and the little Austrian ski school had this policy: they wouldn't take your kid if they weren't potty trained. And so I was lying every time I did go ski. I had to shove the kids in this Austrian ski school and lie, and just say, oh, they're wearing pull-ups because they have accidents once in a while. Anyway, so 5 hours later, okay, maybe I shouldn't tell this because it's like child abuse. I would go pick them up and they'd have these huge full diapers. Anyway, so I did feel like every time I got to ski, I was feeling guilty and I was having this bad mom experience. And so when I did do my ACL, I will say in hindsight, it made me such a better mom. Yeah. I just like stopped pushing the kids to do things they weren't ready for.
Right.
I don't know. But anyways, it did that was a huge sort of personal silver lining takeaway that I got from that accident or the injury. And if you tear your ACL in San Antonio, they will provide surgery that day. I actually delayed it a day because I wanted to go see my kids and like say goodbye before I went into the knife.
Wow.
But, they will do it on Slopeside Surgery Center.
What?
Yeah, it was awesome.
First,
that is amazing.
Her up in a litter
I got a helicopter.
From a helicopter where she's dangling 200 feet.
No, I wasn't in a litter. I got in the helicopter.
Oh, they hoisted you in?
Yeah.
I always thought that you had to do the scary, flying thing.
Right.
And then she did it the next day. And then she just went on with it. From there, we stayed there and had, more amazing Austrian experiences in this little tiny town that was on the ancient Roman path and it was famous for schnapps, for growing the peaches for schnapps. It was a really, remote little valley town. And then from there we went on to France together as families, and she just soldiered.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna spend a lot of time with my kids.
Yeah.
It sounds like you really admire her for that, Jen.
I do. That's a good word. I have a lot of admiration for Jess, period. And I think that's been an important quotient in our friendship.
Mm-hmm. She's not a complainer.
Right.
Gotta like that.
Right. She's a glass half full. But again, she's also not afraid to say it how it is. And I think that balance is, really valuable. And I do admire it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've had conversations with Chris, Jenny's husband, about how, 99% of anything is just showing up. Yeah. You just have to show up. And actually that Austria trip, Jenny and Chris probably regret this. But they did mention like, oh God, how many months ahead of time that, oh, hey, we're probably going to go.
Oh, yeah. I was going to tell this as an amazing.
Oh, go ahead.
Say that. I was going to say this as we didn't regret it. It's such a positive. Listen to this.
We're sitting there having dinner or something like that with Jenny and Chris in Tahoe, and they're like, yeah, so we're thinking next winter we'll probably go live in Austria and, probably Chamonix for like 3 months. And it's easy, not easy. It's my husband has work in Europe as well. So it was a way that we could turn time in Europe into part of his work as well. But anyway, so they're saying, yeah, I think we're going to go do that. You guys should come join us.
And they go, okay.
And we're like, okay.
And it was amazing.
I think both Peter and I sort of, and I think Jenny and Chris too kind of pride themselves on, if you say yes, you show up. You do it. You don't give the yes until you know you're going to do it, but then you do it. And I don't think Jenny and Chris expected us to say yes.
Really?
We were so psyched.
So that put that all into trajectory happening. Yeah.
There's that trust again too. I think we felt thrilled at the idea of sharing it together, and thrilled that they would trust that it was going to work out. Because Chris, at that point, Chris was working on the housing, which started with somebody he knew from somebody who worked at the desk at the hotel that we use for NASTIC up at the resort, had a cousin whose, brother was renting a house or something.
Right.
Like that.
Like 30 minutes down valley.
Yeah.
You're one of these people that we call, or that actually Blake's girlfriend called a glue person. And a glue person is someone who brings people together. And we recently had birthday party, or you recently had a birthday party. Can you guys talk about that birthday party?
I'm wearing, of course, borrowed some of Jess's cool pants, and they're like gold lame crushed velvet.
Hell yeah.
And this kind of weaves into that, and then send it back to you, Jess, is glue and also generous. A theme of Jess has been, she's been an experience creator throughout my life, based on generosity, like opening her doors. And that goes back to that house where we had the party, to that hot tub where we fit 37 odd people.
I think it was 19, but yeah.
And
19 people in the hot tub.
Her parents. And, that was foundational for sure. The role that 17, I shouldn't say the address, but that house played in our friendships for sure.
That you were able to, you said this too, Jess, you always sort of liked to throw parties.
There was usually somewhere to go, and not like a established club sort of place to go dance and be together. And so we all kind of did that. And I think it's in all of our blood, like that what's it, Pavlovian. It's like that is fun. That makes us happy.
Yes.
We start salivating when we hear a good beat.
Well, that is so true. That's so interesting. It's like a Pavlovian response.
It is. Yeah. And so
old school hip hop.
We've always, it's not just me, but our group has always thrown a party on the 0s and the 5s. So we started, I think, at 40 and rented out a bar in San Francisco, and we did 45. I feel like
Shattuck?
On Shattuck and Spats.
Yeah.
And we did 50. Oh, we did 50 in Julia's backyard. This most recent one happened because we were at a joint birthday for 3 women in the class below us.
Okay.
87. And we were invited to that. And so that was also in somebody's family home.
Right.
And Blake's appearing. I mean, Blake should be here. We should have a little photo of Blake. I don't want him to say anything, but he could just be here.
Totally.
Sorry.
You got a picture
Blake
you can
was there.
hold up.
And he looks at me. He's like, Jesse, you need to have a party. I'm like, okay, Blake, why don't you have a party? Like, and both our birthday, we all turned 55 this year. So I was like, Blake, why don't you have a party? He's like, no, you need to have a party, and you should have it at your parents' house.
Wow.
I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. Blake and I and
Jory.
Well, yeah, Jory came along, and then Julia. I roped Julia in because I know that she's a good party planner, and I wasn't quite sure how trustworthy or not trustworthy, how on top of it those boys would be.
Right.
Yeah. So they don't know that. This is the first time I'm saying this, but
that's hilarious.
I was like, I'm gonna need some female help here.
Heard it here first.
Yeah. So that's how that party came across. But it also, it's a beautiful moment of my parents are aging. They will probably soon move out of that house. That house was scenes of, parties in high school. And so it was just kind of a nice kind of full circle to close it.
Well, let me lay the scene here. We walk in, Chrissy and I walk in, my wife and I walk in, and there's this amazing DJ with the lights low, and we throw up our hands and we start dancing, and the whole room just goes, and we were just moving our bodies to the kind of music that we listened to in the late 90s or late 80s, and it was hip hop. And then there was this amazing moment when we all stood around listening to, with our arms around each other late in the night with Purple Rain playing. It almost was like a collective consciousness. There was almost no distance between all of us. We were merged as one in so many ways. There's this great word called, I think it's called collective effervescence. And it's this when you're all sort of feeling the same thing, right? It almost gives you chills to sort of, you're kind of beyond yourself. Your ego fades away in a lot of ways, and you become, I don't know, it felt like elevated. Oneness.
Yeah, elevated oneness. And let me just say, when Chan and Chrissy walked in, they started dancing and they didn't stop.
No.
And the party got all the more fun, a whole lot more fun with the two of your energies.
Now that's something that our hometown friends share, you guys. And I don't know other hometown friends, but I know us. If we're gonna have a party, you gotta dance at that party. That's gotta be a dance party, and it's one of the things that I noticed going away from Berkeley is not everybody does that, right? Not everybody has a dance party. A lot of people just stand around and talk.
Yeah.
But that's not the way we partied in Berkeley. But
So interesting.
Well, and I think it goes into that sort of Chandler tapping in the what is it, communal effervescent?
yeah,
That like, because pretty much everybody there that night already knew each other so well.
right.
It was easy not to, I mean, everybody all did want to catch up and talk too, but it was also easy to fall back into, we are just here to dance. We know
Yes.
each other. You know, this is so familiar, this music, this beat, you know, like it was.
And that's
It
that non-judgmental piece.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And that common language. And
Totally.
I mean, maybe historically there's something about the time, you know, that we were in high school from 82 to 86.
Six.
And I can't remember exactly when hip hop came out. And not that we were in it was definitely a force of a movement. And I wouldn't say we responded to it but like we had the opportunity to go to early DJs, maybe working out their game, you know, and like Jess said, those were the parties we went to. That's what we did. That was the language we developed. And that's what we now do when we get together. And
Exactly.
that playlist was amazing that night
It
because
was.
like Jess, Julia, Jory, Blake, they made the playlist. They asked us for songs. Even Lifetime that night, they were asking for some songs, and the DJ was finding it. And
Yeah, she was amazing. That
Credit to
DJ.
Blake one more time. That was his DJ.
oh yeah,
What?
and credit to Jesse's parents. It was going to be silent disco.
Right.
Jesse's parents, by the way, speaking of generosity, in the era of COVID and being 85 years old, they were there.
I didn't know that.
And I'm told that they loved having all of us crazies up in the house, and it filled them with energy, and they were willing to have all that come in their space. And they even visited with us and had tacos at this, beginning, and sweet Mike taking it all in. And then they went down to bed, but it was never a silent disco. It was a full-on dance party.
Actually, when I left, there was silent disco going on.
It was
until the end.
The after party rocked.
The after party.
I heard. I missed it. I was so tired. I was done, but I wanted to stay longer, but I was just so tired because we're 55. And
we'll have to do a silent disco. Maybe not on a 0 or a 5.
You know that. Go ahead.
Jenny and I were talking earlier. I think part of that, bringing the parents up, is within our community of our friends, we know each other's parents closely. I was telling Jenny, I have spoken with her mom, well, both her parents recently. I've spoken with Julia's mom. I've spoken with niece's mom. I'm still living in the hometown. I'm still talking to these parents that were sort of circling, not hovering so much, but they were present then. And I feel like that extends. So it is sort of, these friendships are family in a way, like Jenny's mom, I just connected my son with her because they're,
awesome.
Both involved in thinking about Chile right now.
Okay. So, right. And Jenny's mom spent a lot of time there. Yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
Jesse's mom has been doctor to so many of us and our kids. As we start having kids, call the in-family pediatrician. I remember flying. I might have shared this with you last time, Chan, but I remember flying to college and thinking, first time, and flying across the country and thinking, how will they ever really know me? They don't know my parents or my front porch.
Right.
They don't know what it all looks like. And Jess and I talked about that briefly, that knowing each other's parents, and in our case, it's very unusual that our group of friends, they all stayed intact and not divorced, but that really wouldn't matter. The fact is we knew them, And
Yes.
at different times they were helpful in our young or middle-aged lives, and they've been a part of the fabric.
Yeah. You know, you talk about this word or that it's more like family in a lot of ways, and that your families were very much families together, and yet we have this friendship. And I'm always remarking about the lack of language that we actually have that describes what friendships mean to us. It's like it's either family or friend or good friend. Like we just don't have the language to explain and to really understand the transformational kinds of relationships that these are.
Maybe that's why. Remember how in Nepal everybody's a cousin. Everybody's cousin.
Yes.
That's my cousin. That's my cousin.
That I like that better. Or I think there's something to that, right? That there's something between family and friends, right?
Right.
And I don't know. You know, we could use a lot of bumble words, but yeah, I think that's probably going towards that, right? You're more than friends, but family's kind of just, I don't know, it's limited in some way.
Or layers of friends. Like I've known this person for 10 years, or I've known this person for 45 years, and where does that fit in? Where's the language for that?
Yeah,
exactly.
I think there's something to that. I'd like to explore
Not that
that
10
a
years
little bit.
makes a difference to 45, but
Totally.
there's depth.
But knowing these people, right? The fact that we know each other for so long, like if we see each other on the street, or just when I come to your yoga class in the park, I just get this amazing smile in my face. And it's like, it's like a long lost cousin, or I don't even know. I can't even say, because it's not, and maybe it's family or something like that, but it's just like this inherent trust, this inherent feeling of warmth, this inherent feeling of comfort. Even if I I might be self-conscious in my other yoga classes, but if I take your yoga class, somehow I don't feel that anymore. Like I'm more like self-conscious in my own wife's yoga class than I am in yours. And that's just weird.
I'm self-conscious in the one I'm teaching. I was going to say, there must be some sort of like endorphins or something like that. You think there's something chemical that happens?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. That
I think
seeing you right now, Chandler, I'm feeling, I got Jenny right here, but there's endorphins.
Yeah.
Definitely dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. I think it makes us feel warm and cozy and relaxed and trusting and open and vulnerable and, to be seen. I think there is something about these friendships that if you have them, what we're talking about.
Right.
And that's it. I think, there's some other friendships I have that they take energy, or they're
interesting.
They're not draining, but they're not as easy and comfortable.
Right.
And I think that's probably why we all gravitate towards spending time together, because it is so easy and comfortable.
It is so easy.
Yeah.
We have a funny
you
text
guys
chain. It's literally named. We have a text chain. We have it. This is bad. I was just going to say a couple of that long-lasting, trusting, non-judgmental piece does make it more like better than a sister, but more or not as complicated maybe as a sister.
You and I don't have.
We don't have sisters. We really don't know. I share that too. But
it's better than a sister. Let me tell you. I got a bunch of them.
You got a bunch of them. You got a lot of sisters up in there. I was going to say, before we go, we have a text chain that is named the acronym for "Why Bother Making New Friends? We Good."
# we good.
That is so funny, because I actually wanted to ask you both about that, because you answered this question that a lot of people answer differently, which is, are you looking for more friendships? And each of you said, no, not really.
We good.
We're good. And I think, say more about that, you guys, because I think that is actually something that when people have these very, very, varied and long lasting and a bunch of group friends from their hometowns or their, foundation, we actually insulate ourselves a little bit. It could actually be a bit of a negative in some ways. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and I want to say we're both if you're looking for a friend out there, we're available. Like, we're open.
Awesome. Turn you down. Awesome. You don't have to like Jenny to be my friend.
Vice versa.
You're not a package deal. I like it.
I hear you, Chan. I think, first of all, it was a joke when I think it was during COVID when we really began to communicate a lot on this inner text chain of our core Berkeley friends, hometown friends.
Right.
And I joked, we should name this. We were probably talking during COVID of like, oh, I'm connecting with this friend or that friend. And I was like, we said, I got all we need. In fact, why bother making new friends? We good. Right. So we named it WBMNFWG.
It's got a hashtag in there though too.
Yeah.
Love it.
But I think I don't know what the right word is, but it's like proportional to gratitude. It's a way of expressing deep, authentic gratitude to say, I'm all good. The reality is we're both happy to have new friends. Every day, I'm sure Jess meets somebody in her work, in her neighborhood, in the family connections, friends of friends. And we're open. One is, I'm open to that, but I feel a deep sense of gratitude and satisfaction with my hometown friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's where it comes from, right? Is that it's not, it could be insular, but it's actually just a gratitude for having these deep and foundational and comfortable and trusting relationships.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think too, another question you had, Chandler, was, how frequently do you communicate with your friends? Like, it was sort of like weekly, monthly, daily, hourly. Like, I put my phone down and I come back and there's 75 messages from this text. I'm like, I can't even spend the time trying to catch up. Like I got to jump to the end and just forget whatever like was going on politically, that they were commenting on in some Zoom that Jenny's done. Jenny zooms in on photos that you send and finds
here we go.
a really embarrassing thing in the background. And you're like, damn, why? I think that's why I was like, do you want to move that photo? It's back there because
someone's going to
zoom in and like, but I think like I don't see these friends daily or even weekly, but there's this constant, almost like the experience you do have where you're in high school, where you see these people 5 to 7 days a week, or for those people who go to college and spend that kind of really intimate, intense time with your friends, just your friends, And so this is another extension of that. Just spending that time, and they're not the only text chain I have. I have other friends too. But,
Totally.
We do. But it's that going through things together.
Yeah.
Which is what makes high school, friends. So you go through all that intense stuff of high school, right? So
yeah, it is. It's so, these are foundational, right? These are the friends that, we never forgot each other, right? We actually don't stray too far from each other. And even if we have distances between each other, my guess is that a lot of our hometown friends still keep pretty good in touch. I have.
Yeah, like you and the boys.
Yeah, for sure. We go away, a couple times a year, and it sounds like you guys have a similar kind of group of 9.
I know.
More.
We got to keep up with you fools.
Yeah. we have a standing Mother's Day because we.
Say that. I wanted to hear about that one.
Oh yeah. So we early on in all our children's lives, most of them are around 20. There are a couple younger kids, like early teens, to teen. But we figured out pretty early that it was much better to spend Mother's Day together with mothers as opposed to sitting around waiting on Sunday morning for like that, eggs Benedict and some coffee and orange juice to show up in bed. I was like, that is not happening. I'm gonna totally throw my husband under the bus.
Do it. Sorry, Peter.
So I'm new mother of twins. First Mother's Day. He's like, yeah, I'm going out with my mom. You're not my mom. Wait for your children to celebrate Mother's Day. I'm like,
oh shit.
Thank you. And like he doesn't remember. He's like, I said that. I'm like, oh yeah, you did.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I remember that one.
I've heard those same words from Chris when he very first said, "You're not my mother." I was like, what? I'm the mother of your goddamn children.
Totally. I've had that same conversation with Chrissy. So,
That's not alone. I thought it was so alone. And all these other dads are perfect.
no.
Anyway, so we go away every Mother's Day, and another friend, Amy, her parents have a lovely condo up in Napa, and they generously let us use it every Mother's Day weekend. And so we go up there and cram ourselves into 2 rooms, and there's a wonderful brunch, and it's lovely. But we do have that sort of standing expectation that we will be together on Mother's Day. But it sounds like you guys do it more often than us.
Another base camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Amy Nellis base camp there.
It's wonderful to have these friends that are long time and that are all going through the same developmental processes that you're going through at the same time, right? So raising children together, or having them go off to college,
having a spouse,
being married. If you could come up with a word or a phrase and how you have affected each other or what you've meant to each other, what would you say?
I could go with confidence builder.
Do that.
Okay,
that was my answer.
That's good. You can say the same
Finish
thing.
on that. Confidence builders.
Sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Those are 2 great things because as we have friendships, right, we go off into the world and we have more confidence because we have somebody, just one person. All that matters is one person that cares about us. And we can go into the world and do so many amazing things, but we have to have somebody who cares about us that's a peer, not just our family. I think we have to have peers that care about us. And what did you say, Jess?
Sense of self.
Sense of self. That's even doper because that's a whole thing that I think friendships give us, is that they reflect our own sense of ourselves. They give us a sense of who we are beyond our families and different than our families have reflected. And we actually become who we are because of our friends.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you've got that, I agree with you, Chan. I used to say to my kids, really at the end of the day, all you need is one good friend. You're lucky, count yourself blessed if you have more than that. But look, if you've got that friend that finishes your sentences and also that you can pick up the phone, call, and start the conversation. So anyway, that is major strength in life.
It's so wonderful to celebrate these friendships, right? To celebrate the connections that we have with these old friends and to actually cultivate them and to grow into them, right? That they actually produce the kind of relationship that is sustaining. It's truly unique. And to have these kinds of people, I mean, it is a blessing in a lot of ways, but it also takes work, right? It also takes attention, and it takes practice. It takes going there again and again and again. And I'm seeing from you guys that you've done that over and over and over and over. And that's why you're sitting next to each other. That's why, Jess, you go all the way up to Reno to do this interview, and any excuse, right? Yeah. That these friendships they're really beautiful, and they make a difference in our lives.
Hi, everyone. The discussion with Jess and Jen just made me think about how meaningful it is to have even one friend that knows where you came from, knows your parents and your siblings, someone who has sat on your front porch and who has seen you grow. Jess and Jen's bond is a beautiful example of a unique type of relationship that demands a special sense of gratitude. This podcast is about exploring the stories of hometown friendships, and I hope to encourage everyone to celebrate these connections and to recall the stories that bring to light the simple and profound ways that hometown friends have made a difference in our lives. I also believe that relating these stories improves our mental health by increasing the gratitude that we feel for our community and enhancing our sense of belonging. So if you have a hometown friend that you're grateful for, reach out to them and let them know how they've helped you along the way. Trust me, it's impossible to receive too much appreciation and gratitude for the ways that we've helped our friends. Furthermore, research clearly shows that the act of intentionally expressing gratitude to others increases our overall well-being. Please let me know if you have a hometown friend story to share, and follow me on Instagram at Hometown Friends Pod. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, even if you just listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. This is the best way to show your support and help me keep producing these shows. Thanks again for listening, and I can't wait to bring you more stories about hometown friends.
We fall down, but we